Umar ibn Abdullah ibn Marwan or Amr ibn Ubaydallah ibn Marwan, surnamed al-Aqta, the One-Handed, and found as Amr or Ambrose in Byzantine sources, was the semi-independent Arab emir of Malatya from the 830s until his death in the Battle of al-Aqta on September 3863. During this time, he was one of the greatest enemies of the Byzantine Empire on its eastern frontier, and became a prominent figure in later Arabic and Turkish epic literature. Biography. Umar belonged to the Banu Sulaim tribe, which was established in the western Jazira at the time of the Muslim conquests and played an important role in the affairs of Malatya and the Jazirang frontier zone with the Byzantine Empire as well as the Caucasian frontier with the Khazars. His father, Abdullah or Ubaydallah, is little known, except that he was also emir of Malatya, and that California. 810 he surrendered to the Byzantines the fortress of Kamarcha to obtain the release of his son, who was held captive. Umar himself probably became emir of Malatya in the 830s, and first appears in 838, in the Amorion Campaign of the Caliph al-Mutazim. The campaign was waged in retaliation for a large-scale raid in the previous year by the Byzantine Emperor Theophilos against the Arab border emirates, including Malatya, whose territory was laid waste and depopulated. During the Amorion Campaign, Umar took part with his men in the Great Arab victory over Theophilos himself at the Battle of Dazimon in July 838. In the 840s, he provided refuge to the surviving members of the Paulicians, who were fleeing persecution in Byzantium, and allocated them the area around the fortresses of Tefrik, Amara and Arjaun. The Paulician leader Carbis turned this into a separate Paulician principality, allied with Umar and launching frequent expeditions against Byzantium, either in conjunction with Umar or independently. In 844, Umar's forces participated in a major raid that inflicted a heavy defeat upon an army led by the Byzantine chief minister, Cplakidas, at the Battle of Mauropotamos. In the late 840s, he was also engaged in warfare against a neighboring Armenian lord named Skleros, whom he finally vanquished after a protracted and bloody conflict. In the 850s, Umar is recorded as having defeated an expedition led by the Byzantine Emperor Michael III against Samosata, and to have carried out a number of successful raids into Byzantium. One of them swept through the themes of Thracian and Opsikion and reached up to the great Byzantine army base of Malagina in Bithynia. He was unable, however, to stop a retaliatory expedition launched in 856 by Petronius against Melitna and Tefrik, which raided all the way to Amida, taking many prisoners before returning home. In 860, along with Carbis, Umar launched a major raid into Anatolia which reached the Black Sea port of Sinope, returning with over 12,000 head of captured livestock. 3 years later, he was part of the major Abbasid force that invaded Anatolia through the Cilician Gates. After splitting off from the main force and repulsing a Byzantine army under Emperor Michael III at Marj al-Yusuf in Cappadocia, Umar with his men headed north to sack the port city of Amishus. On his return, however, he was encircled by the Byzantines and killed at the Battle of Lalakaun on September 3, 863. Only a splinter of his army escaped under his son, but was then defeated and captured by the commander of the Charshanon district. According to al-Tabari, when the news of Umar's death, along with that of another celebrated leader, Ali ibn Yahya al-Amani, arrived in Iraq, they provoked riots among the populace of Baghdad, Samarra, and other cities, angry at the Abbasid government's perceived incompetence. Indeed, Umar's death marked the end of Malatya as a military threat to Byzantium, although the city itself would remain in Muslim hands for 70 more years. Umar himself was succeeded by his son, Abu Abdullah, and grandson, Abu Hafs. who was forced to surrender the city to the Byzantine general John Corcoar in 934. Cultural legacy. Like many other protagonists of the Arab-Byzantine Wars, Umar figures in both Arab and Byzantine legend. In the Arab epic romance, Tale of Delhemma and al-Betal, he is a major figure, although his role has been diminished and he is often cast as almost a villain, due to the tale's bias in favor of the Banu Sulaim's rivals, the Banu Kilab, who furnish most of the heroic characters. Traditions about Umar seem also to have influenced the story cycle around Umar ibn al-Nu'man and his sons, which became included in the 1001 Nights, while Umar himself features in later Turkish epic literature centered around the heroic figure of Batal Ghazi, who is also one of the main heroes of the Delhemma. In Byzantine literature, Umar is regarded as the probable prototype for the Emir Amorion, the grandfather of the eponymous hero in the epic poem Digenes Akritis, while the Greek scholar G. Biography suggested him as the origin of the eponymous hero of the Song of Amorais. The German scholar Hans-Georg Beck finds this identification unlikely, but points out to the reference to a short-armed Arab leader in the same tale, which may reflect a folk tradition based on Umar. Finally, the 10th-century scholar al-Masudi reports that Umar was among the illustrious Muslims, whose portraits were displayed in Byzantine churches in recognition of their valor.